Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods and goddesses. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Shalom. Peace. Hotep. Peace. Peace to the streets. I'm your brother in the struggle, Brother Minister Alif. And today I would like to share with you Islam, as taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad, is not a religion. We cannot put enough emphasis on this. God has no religion. Whether you want to call him Yahweh, Jehovah, Jesus, Allah, what have you. Al-Khaliq, the creator of creation, did not instruct human beings in any organized religion. What the creator of creation did was gave reality or creation and instructed creation with mathematical instructions, with cause and effect, with mathematical principles and universal laws. That is the true way of the creator. There is nothing supernatural in our universe. Everything is natural. There are scientific wonders and blunders and misunderstandings in the universe. And these gray areas produce charlatans, 10% rich slave makers of the poor who teach the poor lies. It formulated thousands of organized religions and countless mystery gods, fake gods, idol gods. And with the passage of time, we grow out of those spooky concepts. In 2023, we are in the present spooky concept regarding the creator of all creation, or that mystery God. That mystery God is listed in the major big religions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism and Islam and Judaism and Catholicism and Christianity, what have you. Now, however, if we was to go a little further back and look at the religions of the older generations, we would consider our great-great-great-great-grandparents' gods to be foolish, spookism, ignorance, in the era and age of unenlightenment, in the dark ages. So if you travel around the planet, you have to understand that racism is what perpetuates that mystery God. You have sexism, racism, classism, and trickism. Trickism is tricknology. There is a mixture, a blend, if you will, of facts with fantasies, truth with falsehood, his story with our story. Mythology and legends are rooted in truth and real actual events, usually, are people. It's just that after the death of that Holy One, the people attribute and ascribe powers and events and things to their name that really was not done in reality. And the future generations get spooked up by that. Let me read to you something from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's tome titled Christianity versus Islam, which is actually a compilation from his speech that he made in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It originally was published by the Messenger on the Rostrum, November the 7th of 1962 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is what the Messenger explains on page number 8 and 9 about religion. Page 8, and I'm quoting him. "We don't want religion. Some of us are so proud There are a lot of atheists being born among the people. Today, living in a rich world and a fast world filled with sport and play. The so-called American Negro has been made drunken off such foolishness. And today he's proud to walk around some of them and say, I don't believe in no God. I want any atheist to contend with me that he actually don't believe in a God. And I can prove to you that you are mistaken. You do believe in a God, one that is supreme over you. We all have that. I say, my beloved listeners, that if you feel that I am out of line, out of the order and law of the truth, you are welcome to attack me. But I would say, before I go further, I thank you leaders of different organizations, as I have learned that some of you are here. I thank you for your presence, and I hope that you and I can agree on facts and live in unity together. And some of you religious people that do not actually confess Islam, but you are religious people of your choice, I am happy that you are here. Christianity, Islam, and the Hindu religion or Buddhism is three of the greatest religions of the people today. Christianity is the youngest of them all. Buddhism is an old religion, and Islam is as old as God himself. Islam is not an organized religion. It's a religion to the very nature of God and of his people. It is the natural religion of God and his people. So says the Holy Quran, chapter 30, verse 30. And how do we say that it's not if we are from the first Father or the creator of the universe? Whatever his nature was, then we are that. If his nature was of evil, we are evil people. If his nature was good, then we are good people. There is much confusion today over this revelation that has been revealed in America over the history of the two people, mainly black and white, that even I have lost a lot of friends amongst the Orthodox Muslims who are not able to agree that the nature in which we were created in is different from the nature of the white race. They are two different people altogether. I am so sorry for your lack of knowledge of self and others. But if we can listen and try to huddle over the truth that is said or being taught, you should bear me witness that I am after good for you, not evil, but for good. I am not after you to tie you in with your slave master to make you one of the members of his family, as he has already destroyed us. About 85% or 95% of us is destroyed by the slave master and his children, according to one professor here today. Or we don't have to do nothing but just glance at each other and we see and recognize the mark. You that want to further the destruction of your people, I want you to listen closely, and after this, I hope you will bear witness to the truth that you would be a fool to destroy yourself. So here the messenger points out in his first premise that those that believe that they are atheists are mistaken. An atheist doesn't believe in any God. He don't believe in, or she don't believe in a mystery God, a real God, the name of God, a creator, or any of that. You know what I mean? The good thing is they do believe in reality. And if you believe in reality, then you believe in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in general. You could differ with the rituals, the signs, the symbols, the languages, the theology, or what have you. But when you're talking about a spiritual science, or you're talking about a universal truth, then you have to observe the universe. You have to reflect and deal with what is known to extrapolate that which is unknown. We can build hypotheses, we can build our own theories, develop theories, but if put to the test, if put in a scientific format, most of these religions, organized religions, I would say all of them, but a lot of organized religions, and to be honest, I would even say the majority of organized religions have real truth, have real spiritual sciences. That's why they're so attractive. And this is why we say they're rooted in sexism, classism, racism, and trickism, or tricknology. The combination of tricks with knowledge. Now, I mean, I have met brothers and sisters, just for example, that when they come across phenomena that is complicated, that is advanced, that represents a high form of civilization, because they were raised by their slave masters, institutionalized racism is in their subconsciousness. So you'll find people that will make these fancy claims. I mean, like, and it covers black, brown, yellow, and red people. It doesn't cover white people. See, when you look at the ancient black civilizations, we're talking pyramids and metals and tools and pulleys and inclines and declines, or machinery. Now, I mean, we're talking surgery and operations and medicines and understanding the human body. When you study the brown Arabs, when you study the math, the astronomy, now, I mean, when you study the people of the Mayan civilization, Aztec civilization, now, I mean, when you study the Olmec civilization, and you see these brown, yellow, and red giant stones, we see beautiful temples and underground caverns where these things are just full of exotic items. Now, I mean, jade and ivory and gold and precious metals. Now, I mean, when we see the ancient machines in the red nation of ancient India and that technology, and read their ancient manuscripts, and they're talking about flying vehicles that existed a trillion years ago. Now, I mean, they had machinery that was so powerful that their thing was this flying vehicle could unleash a bomb that would make the whole universe have to start all over again. We see the people of Nippon or Japan producing ancient steel. I mean, not just not just steel swords or the samurai, but you see this technology is a hidden science in the black so-called smiths of ancient Azania in South Africa. They have ancient orbs showing the world as being round. Now, I mean, and is made of carbon and iron in such a precise fashion that the slave master subconsciously spreads false propaganda around the whole planet Earth, so that when you talk to our black, brown, yellow, and red people, their thing is, everyone knows niggers can't build like this. Everyone knows this had to come from the Anunnaki. This had to come from a distant alien that came from another dimension. They flew in from another planet. We're descendants of aliens and we got alien DNA. There's no way black, brown, yellow, and red people could build advanced civilizations before white people. But these same Mentally dead, 85%. People who are easy to lead in the wrong direction, but hard to lead in the right direction. They so smart, they dumb. They'll tell you all this alien crap. I mean, they can't produce no proof of it. their proof is circular reasoning. They be like, oh, it has to be true. Look, it's an ancient manuscript written over here in cuneiform. It's written in clay tablets. It's written on jade. It's written on emerald tablets. It's written in granite. It's written on parchment papers, papyrus from ancient Kemet, from Black Egypt, this, that, and the other. Where if we was to go back in time to the time that these things was written, the people writing it would be like, you're interpreting this like that? I mean, it's like imagine someone 1,000, 100,000, 1,000,000, 1,billion, 1,000,000,000,000 years in the future finding ancient newspapers in this day. They say they came across the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today. They came across a PC World magazine. I mean, they came across some hip hop lyrics or whatever. Now, I mean, if they came across an old movie film reel, an old CD or something, they sometime when they extracted the data from it and they put it up and they like, well, it's so old, it's degraded. But we see, look, in 2023, they believed in avatars. They believed in Wakanda. They believed in E.T., Go Home. They had movies like Close Contact. They had flying vehicles, and they like, yeah, but in cultures, people write fiction. I mean, people mix fantasy. People entertain themselves with stuff. People have ideas. People have vivid imaginations, wild imaginations. Now, I mean, they have unfettered pens to write whatever. Now, I mean, but when you look at the culture as a whole, it's like, why would you disrespect the people of Nubia or the Sudan or Kush or Ethiopia or Kemet or Egypt or Zania, South Africa, what have you? Why would you disrespect the people of Ghana or Mali and these Songhai empires or what have you and be like, oh, aliens taught them how to do that? Why couldn't black people produce black babies that went to school and listened to the elders and perfected their ideas and did experiments and developed their own culture, their own civilization? Huh? You don't think the Indians were smart enough to produce their own stuff? You don't think the Chinese could figure out how the silkworm, that silk was so strong, how to take and use that in their culture, to understand spices? And now, I mean, the Arabs learned how to make cheese from their hot milk inside, goat's milk inside of leather urns and things of that nature. You don't think human beings do what human beings do? Sure you do. Sure you do. Because you don't talk about the aliens taught Zeus, or the aliens built the beautiful advanced civilization of Greece, classical Greece, the Hellenistic period. You don't say aliens built the Hellen. You don't say, oh, aliens came down and taught the Romans all this stuff in Jerusalem. Now, I mean, look at their swords and shields and helmets. Look at their ancient Roman buildings. Now, I mean, look at their auditoriums and their coliseums. And now, I mean, your thing is like, white kids be like, damn, ain't our white ancestors great? Didn't the white man invent everything? Didn't the white man make ships? Didn't our ancestors The Wright brothers fly airplanes in the air. Didn't we make rifles and use compasses and built out of stone and use metals and made bronze and copper, and didn't we do some great things? But their children don't think aliens built their civilization. But their children are taught that they are superior than everybody else. And then the kids be like, well, how did they build this? If they niggers, if they slaves, if they're cursed by our mystery God, how was they able to do all this? Oh, see, back then there were fallen angels. The angels came down. Now, I mean, and these angels, you know, the mystery angels, spooky angels, you know what I mean? They got cast out of heaven, you know what I mean? And what they did, these angels who were smart, they were white angels with white feathers and white robes, and they had golden knowledge, a golden halo floating in the back of their head. Light would follow wherever their thoughts go. And, them black, brown, yellow, and red girls is beautiful. So the angels had sex with them. And this crossbreeding produced advanced human beings. That they became smart because they mixed with these white boys, these white angels. Know what I mean? They got smart because some green aliens came down and kidnapped some of them. Now, I mean, they would get zapped up into this big UFO, and they would put chips in them, and now, I mean, program them, and even have sex with them, and produce part alien, part human babies. So these babies grew up with super strength and super intelligence. So they taught them how to build pyramids in South America, Central America, North America, I mean, over in Africa and Japan and China and India, all around the world. The people that built the lost city of Atlantis was descendant from aliens. But you'd be like, well, what about the UK? Oh, you ain't know, I mean, you know how powerful the Vikings were, the Irish, the British. I mean, you know how smart the Romans and the Greeks were? Do you understand how intelligent? Do you understand Hitler developed the best technology? He was developing rockets, and he studied the turtle and made the army tank and the planes and made him a jet, and the giant whale underneath the waters and how the whale come up with the little jaws. So he made a submarine, and I mean, the Germans were geniuses. No aliens came down and taught them this technology. White people all over the world is just smart. I mean, it's like the founding fathers, they just were brilliant. I mean, they had muskets and, Daniel Boone and, and laying out the land and building roads and cutting down the trees and developing this great country called the United States of America, became the superpower of the world. It became so powerful, so rich in just 100 years. No one does that because you had a whole bunch of black folks doing free labor for you. You had a whole bunch of intelligent black folks building for you, building your monuments, laying your tracks. You're looking at them and like, well, it's my property. So this joker, he creating stuff. He found efficient ways on his farm, but I get the patent because he's my property. He don't get the money. He's a slave. He 3/5 of a human being. He can't even vote. So that mentality goes over into organized religions. So, you'd be like, what is who is the minority on the planet Earth? The minority on the planet Earth are Europeans. There are just a handful of white people on the earth. Always was. Their numbers is when they had what's called zero population growth. Congress and the Senate, they had laws in America saying, in the 1800s, that thing was, do not allow niggers to come here. Africans, you can't come here. Japanese, y'all can't. Arabs, y'all can't come here. But Open the borders to allow Europeans to come in from whatever country they coming from, because we need a bunch of white people in the United States of America so we can make white the white mighty power. White is right. I mean, white is might. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, is fear strangers, is you got a xeno mentality. You have hatred in your heart. You know what I mean? You have a nature that is evil. Not evil in the sense of spooky evil, like a demon under the ground. He's a devil from out of the hellfire. There ain't no devils in no hell. There's no hell. It's hot lava down there. It's hot magma or whatever. It's melted nickel down there. I mean, but ain't no white people or brown people or yellow people. Ain't no red devil in hell. I mean, ain't no mystery angels up on top of the nimbus and cumulus and stratus and nimbus clouds. There is no mystery good and no mystery evil. However, what we do find universally is that everything and everyone is a compilation of matter. I mean, like, you'd be like, the body. You'd be like, the body, but the body is really made up of organs. And the organs is made up of cells. The cells is really made up of molecules, of little atoms. I mean, we can literally take them apart. Now, I mean, we'd be like, we got some carbon over here, some hydrogen, we got some oxygen, we got some nitrogen. We just find that under the oceans, on the earth, flying above the earth, whatever life form it may be, even if it's something in outer space, everything is made up of these atoms. Now, I mean, the wind, the water, the earth, the fire. I mean, it all operates off of mathematical laws. There is nothing spooky or mysterious about it. What's mysterious is at different times in history, we just don't know the science. You know what I mean? So the 5% are the poor righteous teachers who do not believe in the teachings of the 10%. And are all wise and teach that the true and living God is the Son of Man, the supreme being, the black man of Asia. So the 5% teach the sciences of life. I mean, the sciences of life is always the known linked to the unknown. So this is why we call it a spiritual science. I mean, and when you take the unknown and place it before the known, now you have a pseudoscience. It looks like science, but it's a fake science. Pseudoscientists take things that are true and they take and bind it with things that are false. They take things that are real and bind it with human imagination. But if put to the test, they can't show and prove it. They can be eloquent in showing and telling you anything. I mean, it's like you'd be like, how do humanity keep going for this bull crap? I mean, in a carnival, that thing was like, man, it's a sucker born every day. I mean, they were like, if you say that you died and the Lord Jesus sent you back, you'll have views that believe that. I mean, if you say, if a woman come on YouTube talking about last night an alien kidnapped me and had sex with me, there are people who be like, that happened to me too. If a man be like, an alien came down as a succubus and had sex with me, that's real, that's true. I remember, I know how that stuff go. It's like, it's easy to believe in spookism. Now, I mean, the human brain is a real unique organ. I mean, you could easily deceive our human brain. I mean, see, our brain is inside our skull. I mean, 3 pounds of brain matter is in our skull. And the brain has to deal with perception on what's outside of itself. I mean, it has to codify systems and interpretations of all this phenomena going on all at the same time. I mean, and it does an excellent job, but it's real easy to fool the brain. Now, I mean, our lessons ask, can the devil fool a Muslim? And the answer is not nowadays. See, you won't be deceived if you understand that phenomenon. If you understand the human mind, the human brain, you know what I mean, and how it operates, it helps you become more logical. You know what I mean? If you go outside and the sun turned purple and you seen wings come out the sun and the sun flew off into so-called deeper space, people be crashing cars, jumping out windows, dropping on their knees, praying to Jesus. People making salat, praying to a mystery Allah. People be looting and killing. And the majority of the planet would go berserk because the normal is now abnormal. And the person that deals with reality would be like, they see the same phenomena as everyone else, but their brain be like, what's that? What the, you know what I mean? And the brain just be trying to like figure it out. Like, is that a movie screen? Is this, you know what I mean? Is David Copperfield around here somewhere? You know what I mean? So, you know, but the brain will be like, I know this ain't real. The brain would be like, human beings deal with illusions and delusions 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds of every solar day. So if I seen the sun turn another color and grow some wings and take off, I may not understand how that happened. But it wouldn't throw me in the spool like I think aliens just took the sun. Or I think some mystery god is mad at humanity. We got to start sacrificing on the altar. We got to give all our money to this new religion. I mean, we got to pay charity to appease the gods. I mean, and that's how organized. That's actually one of the tricks that Christopher Columbus did on the Native American Indians. Real facts, real story. You know what I mean? Literally like knowing, okay, it's going to be a full eclipse on this day, boo, man. He tell them, like, well, let them know, translate this. If y'all don't give me all that gold, them gold earrings, and I don't know where y'all getting this real gold from. I want that. I trade y'all some beads, whatever, but if y'all don't run that gold in, I'm going to take the sun away. And they like, what this pale face talking about? What this half-original man talking about? And then they see the sun go away. Now, you would think that everyone is deceived, but in those nation states, there are elders be like, that happened before. I remember that when I was a little boy, the sun went away before. It was a full eclipse or whatever. It'd be back. You know what I mean? But most people panic. I mean, someone 22 be like, it ain't happening in 22 years. They never seen the sun. Oh my goodness, the sun is black. Bring the sun back, please. We'll do whatever. You know what I mean? You know, and that's how spookism spreads because people don't understand. I mean, they be like, oh, this person died and they went to heaven or they went to hell. They being tormented. They drinking hot lead right now. They up in heaven right now, bouncing around on and drinking liquor that won't give you a hangover. They drink milk that don't spoil you. They got virgin girlfriends all up in this joint partying. They see their dead relatives talking to them and like, what's up, great-great-grandpa? Oh yeah, what's going on? How you doing? You know what I mean? But it's all in their head because the brain can imagine anything. It's nothing impossible with God. There's nothing impossible to your higher self. It's nothing impossible with that human brain. The human brain is like, if I can conceive it and I can believe it, I can achieve it. So no matter what it is, this is how inventions are made. I mean, it has to start with the thought. But if the devil could take and plant a false idea, make a false idea a determined idea, he can trick you into spookism. So the messenger says, I don't believe in no God. I want any atheist to contend with me that he actually don't believe in a God. And I can prove to you that you are mistaken. You do believe in a God. God, contrary to all the spooky mumble jumble, God only means supreme being. Supreme only means the most high, the highest in authority. Being means to exist. So the highest form of existence is God. Now, we may argue, fight, and even kill each other in religious wars as to who or what is that mystery God. I mean, it's like we said, let's simplify it. Say, okay, let's take away the rituals and symbols and languages and dogmas, and let's just look at this universe for what it is. All right. Can we agree that this creation has things in creation? I mean, okay. We got a sun, we got these stars, we see these moons, we see the planets, we got the earth, this rock here, you know what I mean? You got Mercury, Venus, Earth, we got a solar system as we call it on this earth, we got the earth crust, we got stuff inside the planet, we see the volcanoes erupt, hot magma comes out, we see that when the earth quakes and water is there, the hot lava comes up and the water cools it off and turns to rock and it builds up. Next thing you know, you see an island come up in the ocean or the sea, and that island, it'll be carbon. I mean, it's just burnt carbon, the atom carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. We see that when the fish die on there, that dead rotten fish, the rotten whale that got stranded on there, the dead birds that died on there, dead human beings, that rotten flesh, organic material, when it breaks down into that carbon, it fertilizes, it becomes compost, it becomes soil, it start growing things, insects, and we see all kind of microbes. I mean, we see cause and effect. It's hard to get rid of life. When we die, it generates just new life. You cut down the trees in the forest and let them fall down and rot. You see all these new trees grow up out of there. Now, I mean, so the people's like, okay, we see these things. Now, I mean, be like, well, what is the highest form of creation? Be like, okay, well, the highest form of creation is holy intelligence. They'd be like, well, why you say that? Well, other things that we notice, like when we go in the oceans and look around, we see the big giant brain of a whale. We study it, dissect it, analyze. We look at these smart dolphins and seahorses, these smart pigs, these smart army ants and flies and birds and lions and tigers and bears. We don't know why, but in our lifetime, in our parents' lifetime, in our grandparents' lifetime, as far back as we could check, we can't find anything in creation that has more intelligence than human beings. Okay. So we got the highest form of creation. We say, okay, it's intelligence. Everything else is using instinct, lower intelligences. They quickly satisfy, but the human brain, for some reason, it just can't be satisfied. Now, I mean, it just wants to keep learning, keep expanding, keep experimenting. Now, I mean, it's never satisfied. Now, I mean, and when you study the human beings, you say, okay, well, we got all kinds of human beings. We got black people, brown people, yellow people, red people, white people. And I mean, be like, all right, well, everybody's smart. White people are smart too. I mean, the message said they are gods of America. They gods of their world. I mean, Indian people are brilliant. Chinese people are brilliant. I mean, Arabs are brilliant. Australians, people on the islands are brilliant. I mean, the people of Central and South America and North America, brilliant. Now, I mean, the so-called Eskimos, how they adapted to living in the snow are brilliant. People with these Bedouin tents and their camels living in the hot, burning Arabian desert and they know how to live there for generations, are brilliant and living in the heat, brilliant living in caves, brilliant living on a little tiny island. I mean, where storms come and things of that nature there. Human beings adapt or they die. So human intellect shows that human beings can meet and overcome all obstacles in that path. Now, I mean, so you got to be like, okay, well, what's the oldest advanced civilizations? Now, I mean, you'd be like, well, we see these advanced civilizations. Now, the third stuff we heard about is stuff under the seas and oceans that we're still trying to figure out. There's things that come up from under the sand and under the earth that we're still putting the pieces together. Archaeologists and stuff like that, they study those things. You know what I mean? But the practical, pragmatic information shows like, okay, you had these people in ancient Babylon or Iraq, these people in ancient Persia, Iran, and ancient Africa and ancient China and India that was doing all kind of things. You know what I mean? And for whatever reasons, when these advanced civilizations was taking place, we just simply don't see Europeans building advanced civilizations. They're like the new kids on the block that built civilization. Like when it comes to the ancient stuff, it's like the Romans and the Greeks, they was like, we got this stuff from Egypt. We study Africa, North Africa. We went up in ancient Kemet and like, yo, okay, they got black guys. We gotta get us some white guys. I mean, they like, when we study the people in ancient Babylon and how they built, it's like, yo, I mean, it's like life imitates art. Art imitates life. Know what I mean? So that's just human nature. Know what I mean? But scientifically, we know that there are dominant and recessive genes. Like, it's like, okay, well, is the black melaninated people recessive, or is the albino or the Asian or Caucasian recessive? Is blonde hair recessive or dominant compared to black hair? Scientific, no racism, no disrespect between black and white, but just understanding the science. I mean, hair scientists be like, the black is dominant. All right, well, what about the layers of skin? Now, I mean, blacks have 7 layers of skin, white have 3. We have more melanin. Is melanated skin dominant or recessive? Like melanated skin is dominant. White skin actually gets destroyed by the sun. So we know that's not the universal natural thing of creation. Now, I mean, black folks could go out in that sun and they won't get the cancer like that because genetically there's something there. There's affinity. They're people of the sun. That's just there. That eyes. Now, I mean, it's something in nature about that. Now, I mean, it's something natural there. Now, I mean, and when you have that reality, you'd be like, okay, well, what happens when a black man gets a white woman pregnant? It's like that dominant gene is going to produce. They have 4 children. Be like, okay, they have 4 children. Those 4 children, majority of them is going to be black. They might have one with green eyes or blonde hair. You know what I mean? Because gene pools get mixed up because there was a lot of intermixing here and there. But we can tell through DNA and RNA, we could study the science, the genetics of it and be like, yeah, you find very few scientists that could deny that the black gene is dominant and the white gene is recessive. They'd be like, what if you switch it up? What if it's a white man that gets a black woman pregnant? It'd be like, it don't make a difference between the sperm and the egg or the ovum. The black woman's egg is dominant over the white man's semen. So the babies if the black woman have 4 children from a white man, most of them, 3 out of 4 are gonna come out black. That's just Mother Nature doing her thing. Now, I mean, it's a thing where it's like, we understand this law in nature and readily accepts it. But we reject it and ignore it and spook it up when it comes to human beings. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught the black man is God and the white man is the devil. He put it in a spiritual science rooted in politics and culture. And politically, the former slave masters that taught everybody that white was superior, that taught blacks that they were running around in the jungle naked with bones in their noses and eating each other before they came and saved them with Christianity and introduced them to this white Jesus and gave them the Holy Bible. Our people, the 85%, the mentally dead, who's easily leading the wrong direction, they are thankful to that fake mystery God, Jesus, for saving them from their own culture and people and history and traditions. That's how ignorant a lot of our people are. That's how mentally brainwashed or brain dirty the colonizers made the masses of our people. Know what I mean? So a lot of times, a lot of people, when they look at it, they like, okay, well, at the end of the day, you have men and women. I mean, you know what I mean? Be like, okay, are you saying that the woman came first or the man came first? You'd be like, understanding the universe. Understand, it's like, listen, just looking at it, the XY chromosome and the double X chromosome, despite the pseudoscience that a lot of people believe in, it's like, yo, it's like that black man is the original man, the Asiatic or world citizen man. He produced the brown, the yellow, the red, the albino, and the white. I mean, that is just the progression and the mathematical reality of human civilization. But because of politics, because of institutionalized racism, the slave masters had to hide the knowledge of God in God. They had to take that power and force, because you can't tame a lion that knows its own nature. You can't break a horse that is in its right state of mind. You cannot go amongst a pack of dogs and pet one of them. You cannot go to a natural lion and open up his mouth and put your head in there talking about ta-da. They be like, I know your head will be gone. I mean, you can't come in the hood amongst black men that have been struggling for survival for 500 years with your bull crap. They're not going to go for that. See, you could go amongst a nerdy black man that's brainwashed. Like, I've been to college. My head is full. I vote as a Republican. I love my country. I mean, the house slave, as we call them. Now, I mean, that's our brother too. But the slave master was able to break certain creatures. They was able to deceive them. See, they don't just break them. They gotta use the carrot or the stick. They'll use technology. They'd be like, okay, either I'm gonna beat this joker into submission, or I'm gonna bribe this joker into submission. But he or she is going to submit that I'm the God, I'm the master, I'm in charge. Know what I mean? And sometimes we had to recognize that slave master, not because we didn't hate him in our heart, not because we didn't want to crush him in our heart, but we knew that we would be jeopardizing our women and children. So for the sake of the power of love, not the power of hatred, for the power of love, we allowed the devil to sit on the throne of God. But at no time did we mentally forget how we got here and who brought us here. We knew our enemy. We knew our oppressor. We knew who the colonizer was. But we had to use strategies and stratagems of warfare. The Holy Quran teaches us, don't run from your enemy, but you should run from your enemy if it's a stratagem of war. Meaning your thing is like, you got to know when to fight, how to fight, where to fight, whom to fight. Now, I mean, you can make certain moves and be like, Dad, I moved out on the slave master plantation. And because of me by myself, I moved out by myself. And what happens is the oppressor's reaction to my actions, my positive action produced these negative results. They came in and killed my neighbors, my brother, my uncle. They killed my wife, raped my daughter, lynched my son, burnt down all of. Now, I mean, when it's like that, they be like, we had it bad, but we did not have it nowhere near as bad before this free-thinking black man who realized he wasn't a slave, that he was a prisoner of war, acted on his nature. So don't think that black men are asleep. Black men are woke. But we're consciously aware that the majority of our people are not awoke. So those of us that have similar burdens and like minds, we're networking. Now, I mean, we're building, we're organizing, we're strategizing. Now, I mean, and we have to bump heads with each other too. We have to, I mean, we gotta, you know, it's a lot of internal cleansing that has to take place within ourselves and within our collective. Now, I mean, we have to realize every brother just ain't a brother. So, some brothers is worse than a slave master. Practically and realistically speaking, we like, okay, during slavery, you always had some white people like they really believed in the Bible. They really believed in Jesus. They really believed in the principles of Jesus. That thing was like, y'all shouldn't do this. Y'all shouldn't enslave black people. Y'all shouldn't be killing them. Y'all shouldn't be rape, robbing, and murdering them. But very few of them, and few, you know, should be appreciated. You had people like your John Browns, if you will. Now, I mean, you had some people like the abolitionist movement that's like, we was not with that. We be superior. Y'all should be our slave, you know. But on that side, they like, we suffered reverse oppression from the colonizer. I mean, like, we could get killed. They would kill us too. They were oppressive. They ostracized and marginalized white folks that was fighting on behalf of black folks. Now, I mean, if they get caught hiding slaves in Underground Railroad, they are in danger of the law of their white brothers and sisters too. Now, I mean, so the problem is never just cut and dry, us versus them. Now, I mean, it's always that gray area. Now, I mean, but with that said, we can't sit around cherry picking which devils are okay and which devils are not, which blacks are really in the way, which it's like, it's, I mean, you gotta do that on a case by case basis. We gotta keep it moving. Now, I mean, you know, we got to be like, God is not a respecter of person. We judge according to your thoughts, deeds, and actions. Now, I mean, so the thing is like, in moving like that, now we're making progress. Now, I mean, now we're breaking the yoke of chattel slavery. Now, I mean, so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad explained, those that think that atheists, they consider, even atheists, they would consider other human beings that did superior things than them. Human beings that can do things they can't do. Now, I mean, they'd be like, okay, well, look, all right, you're atheist. Do you believe that this white man went to the moon? Can you go to the moon? No, he has a superior knowledge than you. Now, I mean, you'd be like, okay, well, do you believe in energy? I mean, do you believe that you created the sun? I mean, did you make the sun? You're like, okay, the sun is hydrogen and helium. Now, I mean, you know, they'd be like, water is H2O. Now, I mean, it's like, no, Hydro is water. The most abundant element. The universe is water. Like we're breathing water in the Earth's atmosphere. You go in the ocean, it's liquid water. You go in space, it's vapor water. It's called hydrogen. Hydrogen or hydrogen is like, you'd be like a water hydrant, a fire hydrant. Anything hydro is water. So you don't need oxygen to get water. You need oxygen to get the liquid form of the water. But that water can vibrate and be in a plasma form. It could be in atomic form. It could be atomic water. It can be a steam form. It could be a solid ice form if it's below 32 degrees. So there's different types of water. There's different types of wisdom. There are those that don't understand when Messenger Elijah Muhammad says that wisdom is to make your knowledge known, the woman. Now, the wisdom, be like the knowledge, know the ledge, the knowledge is to listen, know, and observe. Knowledge is the foundation. You see, right now you're listening. To listen, know, and once you analyze and piece apart the facts and you observe, and you could repeat that and you'd be like, yeah, that's mathematics. That's peace, God. Know what I mean? Now you're dealing with facts as opposed to superstition, mysticism. Know what I mean? Instead of dealing with trickery or technology, you're dealing with reality. So when you're dealing with the reality will tell you if you admit it to yourself or not, that if we have a creation, we have to have a creator. Now that creator, I agree with the atheists. It doesn't mean that a mystery God did it. I mean, it's like, you know, the old proverb they an analogy they use with a man walking down the beach and finding a Swiss made fancy watch or something like that. You see the fancy watch, you're like, oh man, this watch got Wi-Fi, it tell the time, the temperature, the date, it can go under the ocean and not get wet. Now I mean, and you'd be like, if there's a watch, there had to be a watchmaker. Now I mean, and atheists correctly say like, just because we have a watch don't mean that a mystery guy had to do it. Some mystery God had to produce that watch. They are correct in that. I mean, you know, the message was like, who is that mystery God? Because your watch is nowhere near as fancy as something like a snail, an ant, a flower, I mean, a honeybee. I mean, look at the beauty and the mathematics and the patterns of an acorn growing into an oak tree or something like that there. I mean, you know, it's like the universe did that. Now, the question is really like, how did the universe do that? Now, I mean, and when you get into that hydrogen and carbon and the nitrogen and the oxygen and how those elements bind, and they'd be like, they produce so many mathematical wonders. Religious people call it miracles because they don't understand it. And a lot of it we'll never understand. I mean, that's part of the human consciousness. The human brain simply on a conscious level would not understand everything. That does not mean that subconsciously it already knows everything. Everything. Every atom in the universe is using bonding. I mean, attraction, repulsion, cohesion, assimilation, dissimulation, creation, projection, reception, intuition. I mean, think about that for a minute. Let's look at that again. There's 9 forces which balances the human equilibrium. Attraction, repulsion, cohesion, assimilation. See, imagine assembling a car. You're in a steel mill. You be like, okay, we're in a steel mill. The founding fathers of America in Detroit, you know what I mean, they had Ford and Chevrolet and all that. They had the steel mill, and they producing these cars. And then a war breaks out. And the same president that was trying to tax them at 75 cents off a dollar that they hated was like, we need these jokers. What can your factory do besides make cars? And that thing was actually our factories could do anything because of the principle. I mean, the design, I mean, we have to modify our math, but if we make cars, we can make rifles and bullets, we can make helmets, we can make cans, we can make Navy ships, jet planes, we can make an atomic bomb in here if we had to. Now, I mean, so these men that understood these principles, their designs could come out countless ways. Now imagine a universe that's able to make a sun, hydrogen and helium turn into a nuclear furnace and poof. I mean, we got carbon, we got this sun, but we got a piece of the sun breaking off and cooling off, and it's forming into a planet called Earth, and we got a piece of the Earth breaking off, forming something called a moon, and little rocks hitting it all over the place, just making it with acne. It's just like a pot-faced little crater moon floating around, but it's keeping the water on the Earth in check. It's all based, no matter what you do, build or destroy, it's always going to come into Mayat, as they call it in spiritual science. It's always going to come into harmony and balance. I mean, cohesion and assimilation and dissemination. It's going to attract things and push things. It's going to pull things and push things. It's going to use these laws of the universe to produce all of this. So when you see this and you understand this, and then it calms down, and out of disorder comes order. Out of the chaos, you got the balance now. So you got this universe here. Know what I mean? And things are still crashing. Things are still, you got old red stars blowing up and brand new blue stars being born. You got white dwarfs, what have you. Know what I mean? And it's the same with human civilizations. Know what I mean? So you don't have to attribute it to Santa Claus or to a mystery God. You could look at it for what it is. The sure reality, the Mother Nature, Father God, Father Allah, Father Yahweh, Jehovah. We can name whatever name we want it, but the principle is there. Now, I mean, that principle is there, but the thing is, it's like when you get into it, you can't attribute things to it that's not necessary, things that's not mathematics. Now, I mean, you know, you'd be like, it don't mean that it's not possible, because in the universe, anything's possible. Now, Elijah Muhammad asked Master Muhammad on the possible and impossible, and Master Muhammad said, how can something be impossible when we exist in a universe that once upon a time it didn't exist? That right there takes, now think about that. We got a universe with all these different atoms. We got the atomic chart, we got sun, we got stars, we got moons, planets, we got fish, sardines, mackerel, shrimp, crabs, lobsters, octopuses. We got polar bears and silverback gorillas, monkeys, spider monkeys. We got black people, brown people, yellow people. We got males, females. We got hermaphrodites. We have birds of every color flying in the air. Now, I mean, all of this diversity came from this singularity, this cause. These are the effects. That takes away the impossibility. That, whatever you want to call that, if you're an atheist and you say, okay, the universe, stop right there. You believe in the universe. So you believe in creation. You believe that things exist. Things that exist, do you believe that they magically came? No, I don't necessarily say that it was some hocus pocus. You believe Santa Claus brought it, the universe? No, I don't believe Jesus did it, or Allah, or Buddha, or Krishna, or whatever. I mean, I don't believe some sky god did it. That makes sense. You shouldn't, because there's no empirical evidence of that. People believe it, but they can't show and prove it. They can show and tell you that. Know what I mean? So what you have is the spiritual and the scientific realms meeting up with the exact same result. No one can go beyond day -1. No one can go beyond the creation to show and prove a creator or the lack thereof. So, what we have to do is deal with what we do know. And what we do know is that no mystery God ever parted the skies and did no magical stuff. We read about it, but when we read about it, we're reading it in hindsight, after the fact. I mean, after Jesus physically dies, his disciples write whatever. I mean, it's like, it's like any great hero. I mean, it's like if your child and your daddy died, now I mean, and he used to work at the factory, in your head you like, oh, he was a superhero. I mean, my father is physically dead, but as a little boy, I remember my father in North Philadelphia sitting down with his friends, and they drinking some Thunderbird, and I'm watching my father break bricks with his hand. And I'm like, wow, my dad could break bricks with his bare hand. That, to me, that's Superman. I ain't thinking, my dad is my superhero. Like, yo, this dude can chop bricks with his bare hands. Know what I mean? And he didn't know. Once I seen that, I'm like, I'm hurting my hand like, how the heck did they break a brick? Because I don't understand how. But there was no mystery God. I mean, he couldn't break a car in half, but he could break a brick. I mean, a martial artist would come in and be like, I broke 10 bricks. My dad tried to break 10 bricks. He'd probably break his hand. But breaking one brick, to me, that was a super feat right there. That was supernatural, because I didn't understand bricks are made from clay. They heat them up in the kiln, and they porous. Now I mean, it's like, okay, I could toss a brick in the air and break a brick with the palm of my hand as a man. Now I could do what my dad couldn't do. But when I was a boy, I couldn't break no brick with my bare hand. So once you have an example of a thing, the message teaches us naturally we can improve on the thing once we have a make or model for it. Okay, so he goes on to say about this mystery God again. He says, I say, my beloved listeners, that if you feel that I'm out of line, out of order and law of the truth, you are welcome to attack me. But I would say, before I go further, I thank you, leaders of different organizations. I have learned that some of you are here. I thank you for your presence, and I hope that you and I can agree on facts and live in unity together. So it's like, okay, we differ. We differ in our ideas, our perceptions, our beliefs, know what I mean, our cultures, languages, whatever. That don't mean that we can't respect each other. I mean, I love and respect my Sunni brothers. I respect and love my Hebrew, Israelite, Jewish brothers, Pan-African and 5%ers and Christians and whatever. I mean, it's like we can come together and share ideas. And usually when you do that, what you'll find is we really believe the same things, just in a different way. I mean, like, if you study the Holy Quran, you'd be like, wait a minute, this is like a remix of the Torah. I mean, you study the Gospels, you'd be like, wait a minute, this is a remix of the Torah. I mean, you study the Torah, you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, this stuff about Noah and the flood, the black and white bird, this was written thousands of years before this. This is from older texts. And the more you go back, you be like, oh, they the origins of the sea, but this was written before them. You'd be like running to that blank wall, because it's like it has no beginning or ending. It's like you wasting your time there. Now I mean, so you be on to like, okay. Now I mean, now what's happening is the priesthood are the ministers, the reverends, the amirs, the gurus, the sheikhs, or whatever, the 10%, the clergy part. they set up things to strengthen their positions. They want to make sure that they maintain power and control over the congregation. I mean, it's like that's human nature too. I mean, because you know, if you let people think for themselves, you're not going to be able to control them. I mean, like if people, like say for example, if you took all the religions, like all of them. I'm talking about Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever. And you put all of them together and you tell the congregants, listen, forget what he or she is saying. We want to know what y'all have to. In fact, what we're going to do, we're going to have a vote. We want y'all to vote in our organization. Who do y'all want to be the leader? You'll find that they be like, we tired of these old leaders. We want some new blood. They be like, we voting for Biden because we don't have that much to pick from. I mean, like they're trying to get a Republican speaker together, but they like, we trying to find a lesser of two evils. Now I mean, but they really want to see the new because that's human nature. I don't care what the Nation of Islam, Buddhism, Christianity. You take these young brothers and sisters and get out their way for a minute. Be like, listen, the old heads, we're gonna still help. We're gonna do our part. We're gonna still serve, but we're gonna serve as elders. Now, I mean, it's like a couple of days I'll be 58 years old. I'm not running around trying to do no ministry and all that. I mean, some people like, I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, I'll teach until the day I die, but I'm not going to be in the way no FOIs and MGT. I take the little young brothers and sisters and teach them, give them literature, bang. Like, y'all move out. Y'all do your thing. You know what I mean? And people be like, well, the Pope, we got ancient traditions and that's all part of the problem. I mean, you got all that information hidden in the Vatican, locked up under keys. I mean, if you would have shared that information with the Catholics, with the young Catholics, they would have made that thing so much stronger, so much faster. It'll just blossom. I mean, it's like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was on the tip like, I know more than y'all, but I'm not traveling and teaching. I'm gonna put Malcolm X and Farrakhan and Salas and I'm gonna let these young boys, these young sisters, go ahead and take this thing to another level. and the messenger know like it would have never got as rich and powerful as it grew if he did not get out the young FOI and young MGT's way, let them go ahead and do their thing. You'd be like, now, every FOI and MGT that he put in authority, all of them made countless mistakes. That's the learning curve. That's part of it. So it's 2023. We have to get out the youth's way. We gotta let them learn. Let them come up with new ideas, brilliant ideas. I'm telling you, they geniuses. See, they could take and improve on what we have laid down. Now, I mean, they're not going to do it the way we would do it. They not, these young people is not going to talk and act and walk the way we do. Now, I mean, but they shouldn't. We would never make progress if the old stays in control. It just doesn't work like that in nature. It don't work like that amongst the lions. That lion get old, you're like, Pops, you're like, I remember you was a little cub. I used to smack you upside your head. You're like, yeah, Pop, I was a little cub then. I mean, but I can protect the family now. And I'm up to this. I mean, they'd be like, your brother thought he was so smart. Look at him. He got thrown in the circus. He's in the zoo now. He got shot. He's up on the mantel's head. You should have listened to me. It's like, nah, that's all in it, Pop. When they shot him, boom! That hunter killed him, and his blood went into the soil of Africa. And that DNA of that dead lion germinated that dirt. And you know what, Pop? You come back here 64,000 years from now, And it's going to be these bulletproof lions running around Africa. Like, yeah, what? Lead don't do nothing to us. We from another breed. We from a certain stock. I mean, we was born to die. We was born to live. We are born to do this. Now, I mean, so this is how the spiritual sciences actually works. This is the alchemy of how it really works in the universal order of things. Now, I mean, we would always come up with better technologies to improve and to maintain our safety and our way of life. Now, I mean, we're gonna survive. We're gonna adapt or we're gonna die. But even when we die, we're adapting. With that, we're gonna close. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, God. Peace, goddess. Remember, only the messenger's message will guide you through this age of mess. Let 2023 show and prove the new, young, dynamic leadership worldwide. The struggle continues.